Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Got a good show for you today. Got a great guest. I'm going to bring him in shortly. Someone I met at Ironman Lake Placid. I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website. It's called ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find them on the aggregators, places like Stitcher and TuneIn, iTunes, of course. Download that podcast app to your iPhone. Click on it. Search for Ordinary Marathoner. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button. You never miss a new episode that way. We're also on YouTube these days. I'm putting all the podcasts over on YouTube, audio only, but it's just another avenue, just another option for you guys. If you're looking to listen to the podcast, I don't know where you're sitting at your computer. That seems to work. A bunch of people have been listening to that now. What else we got? We have our Twitter account. You can find me over at Twitter at OrdMarathoner. That's ORD Marathoner. Check it out. Follow me there. I will follow you back. And also we have our Facebook discussion group over at Ordinary Marathoners, plural. It's a closed group. You got to add yourself to it. But we'll approve you right away, put you through, and you can either join the conversation. You can sit there and lurk. You can ask questions. You can post your workouts. We got a really good group over there. We've actually we started a weight loss competition, just this week. It's not really, I guess it's a competition between me and Dan Demore, who was a guest a few months ago, actually. But we're gonna try to see who can lose the most percentage weight up until October 12th, which is the day before the Hartford Marathon, which is my next big race. I don't know. It's been fun. A lot of people participating, a lot of people getting involved over there. Good luck to everyone over there. I've been posting my weight every single day. And I've been static this week. I've actually had a really good week training, a pretty good week dieting. So it's a little frustrating, but you know what? It's only 3 or 4 days in. So, you know, when it comes to weight, you guys know it can fluctuate up and down. So I'm just trying to, I'm happy with steady. And hopefully in the long run, we'll get a few down weeks in the weeks to come. As long as I stay disciplined and the training works out, I think we'll be fine. So anyway, on to today's guest. He is I know of at least 3 times, I believe, he finished Ironman Lake Placid. So he's a 3-time Ironman at least. I know he's done a few marathons as well. I just learned that about him actually last week, but we're going to bring him in. His name is Georgios Zavolas. Zavolas. Is that it, George?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Giorgio.
Giorgio Zavolas. So, all right, so it's you interest me for a couple of different reasons. I'm going to tell you, number one, you're kind of a humble guy, I think. And the reason I say that is because, I reached out to you the other day and I was like, oh, why don't you come on the podcast? I'd love to have you. And you're like, well, why would you want to have me on? 3-time Ironman, buddy. That's crazy. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
Yeah.
Comes fast, I guess.
It's some great accomplishment there. So I met Georgios on online while we were registering for Ironman Lake Placid last year. We were standing out in front, which, by the way, is the perfect time to go. I think it was it Friday morning?
Yeah, Friday. Was it Friday morning? Yeah, had to be Friday morning. Yeah, checking in and just waiting for them to open the doors. We were both probably top 10 to 11 people in that day.
Yeah, we were right up front, which I think is definitely the way to do it, because every time I walk out of that place, the line is like out the door. So getting there early is certainly key. But we got to chatting. And I remember, you had done the Ironman. How many times had you done the Ironman before? Twice, right?
Yeah, I did it 2 times before. Each time scarier than the first.
So they were both Lake Placid, if I remember right?
Yeah.
Well, now it's 3 because you completed them all. And I guess the thing that stood out about you, to me at least, was when we started chatting, your finishes, you like skin of your teeth, you get in just under that wire every time. What were your finishing times, if you can run through them quickly?
Yeah. Well, the first year, it wasn't that close. Oh, I guess it was. I think it was 1644 or 1642.
Oh, that's a breeze for you, though.
yeah, that wasn't too bad. The finishing time itself was actually sounds. We all know we have 17 hours, but the bigger deadline was the 5:30 p.m. bike deadline, right?
Yeah.
And I got in the first year 5:25. So
wow.
And I knew it the whole way. So it's that was like nerve wracking. Kind of backfired big time because I got to the run, I had nothing left.
You just pushed it all out.
I had to make that. If I would have paced it, if I didn't have that 5:30 cutoff, I probably would have biked like an hour slower, but then ran 2 hours quicker. But you gotta play by the cutoffs.
Yeah, you know what? So what's interesting to me is I remember actually. So I get online behind you, and you got to be like, I'm guessing you're, I don't know, like I'm guessing like 165, 170 pounds, but you have like, and I know it's like here
155.
All right, but you are like, I mean, you are chiseled. You are like, you're a chiseled. You look like you belong. So when I get online, I remember saying to Stephanie, my wife, I'm like, this is the part where I start to feel like I don't belong. Because first of all, I was like 25, 30 pounds overweight from last year. And and I'm like sitting there chatting with you, like you are just in shape. And I'm like, this is the guy that he's like going to break through like 8 hours. And I'm sorry if this is, that's like a little bit insulting, I guess, but it shouldn't sound that way.
I've never heard this in my life before. Never.
But no, like you're 155, but you got like no fat on you, right?
Yeah, I'm 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", 155. I have actually like 14% body weight, body fat.
You know. And it turns out, so in talking to you last week, it turns out, so your marathon finishing times, which you've done, I know you've done at least 3 marathons. They were all New York City?
Yeah, I've done 3 New York City, 1 Chicago, 1 New Jersey. Oh, wow. So 5. I guess you could count the 3 New York, Lake Placid to make it 8, but I don't really count those.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of those things. Like, do you count that as a marathon? I don't count them either. But it's
I always tell people I finished 8. I ran 5. It's probably the most fair way to do it.
But your finishing times in the marathon, I was just blown away by your finishing. It was like all 3 of them from New York were in the 350s.
Yeah, well, actually, so it was the first year was 358, and the second year was 350, and then last year I broke through and I got to 340.
Right. So really, it seems like, I mean, that's incredible, man. That is incredible. That's really, I mean, I'm impressed, man.
Yeah. I always tell people it's only incredible when you realize you need like I just did a 340. I need like a 303 to make Boston.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true.
It's incredible to the point, which really tells you how hard it is to get into Boston. But
now, is that like a long-term goal for you?
It's tough for me to do Boston, which I think I could do it, but I would have to just focus on running for probably 2 years.
Right.
And then even then, I don't know if I could take. Like I've been pretty good. I took off 8 minutes the first year, 10 minutes the second year. But to take off another 40 is gonna be
that's a lot of training.
Really really challenging. And who really knows if it's possible, right? Like for your body.
True. I mean, it's possible for someone's, but might not be yours. Certainly not mine. But so anyway, going back to Ironman, because this is really kind of, like I said, this is what made me what I thought was like really interesting about you was like. Here you are. You can run a sub 4 marathon, and your Ironman is like, I mean, you're skin of the teeth, like 1640 plus finishes for all 3, I believe. Which means this is like a biking issue you have.
Yeah. Well, just because point of pride, the second year I did it 1614.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. All right. So I didn't realize that. So I thought you were like 1655 or something. Or was that
44, 14, and then this past year was like, I don't even know the real time yet. I think it's 52, 53.
Gotcha. And what is it? I mean, I guess what I kind of want to, I guess you said that you felt the stress at more so trying to get through the bike than get through the run. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is when you get to the run, are you confident when you finally get off the bat? Is it like are you just exhausted?
Yeah, well, I mean, usually, so I get off, just starting triathlons in general. I get off the bike and I get to the run. Okay, I'm like, okay, it's go time. This is my dance. Right? Now we're my song dance. I'm following all these swimmers and bikers because I'm a terrible swimmer and I'm an awful cyclist. But I get to the run. Like, okay, this is my doghouse. Now it's my turn. So then I just, I get into my mood and I got like a little swag going because I know I feel very good on the run. Of course, and even on the half Ironman, in like a 70.3, not a half, because I don't want to demean it, but 70.3, I get off the bike and I go, well, this is my dance, and I'll do like a 142 and the 70.3 with no problem. The Ironman, though, is a different beast.
Yeah, it's it's funny. Like I do talk to some people who, and I have never done a half. I've participated in 3 fulls, finished 2 of them, but I've never done a half. And a lot of people that I talk to who do a lot of triathlon, both halves and fulls, they say that the difference between the full and the half is that you can kind of race the half, and that the full is really just just surviving the day. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. The 70.3, you could be super aggressive. You could really you could gun it for, now the people that win there are doing it 4 hours. You could run it for 4 hours. You could go really hard for 4 hours. Even me, who I think my PR and a half is 6:30 or around 6:30. You could still you could be really aggressive with that. Now you can't, but that mentality you can't do for Ironman. If you do that, it's going to be a really tough day.
Yeah, you get killed out there. Yeah, I'd say that like me, but I got killed because I just didn't train hard enough at all. That's just the way that worked out. That doesn't help either. Although I've been training a lot harder ever since I DNF'd. But maybe that was
I see that you're doing great, man. I follow the Facebook group is great. I love seeing your progress. Love seeing the weigh-ins too. That's the new thing. But I like seeing everyone's training.
Yeah, I weigh myself every day. So I've been posting there every day for the past week. And I really, I don't do that normally. It's just because we're doing this little competition with Dan. But it's kind of neat to see everyone's sort of idea and view on that, whether or not you should weigh yourself daily or weigh yourself weekly or how often people do it. And, it's got a good conversation going every morning. So like every morning I kind of get in there and I post my weight and, I close down the Facebook for a little while and I come back and there's like 20 comments and, it's been a good conversation piece, I guess, so far.
I always meant to ask, are you weighing at the same time every day?
Yeah, and it's kind of been so my routine is that I get up out of bed, whatever time that is, and sometimes sleep is one of the big factors that affects weight too. So on the weekends, I actually, on average, I tend to weigh a little bit less, and usually it's because I sleep a little bit later. But it's kind of like I learn way more about what controls my weight and the factors that go into it by weighing myself every single day. And I do it at the same time I get up. I go to the bathroom because you always got to pee when you get up. So, and that's weight. That's water weight. So
absolutely.
You get rid of all that. You step on the scale and I do that every morning and I take that number. And then what I do, and I actually did this I kind of described this a little bit. We did a YouTube video last week. I finally got the video out. I was talking about this on the podcast the other day about the spreadsheet that I use to keep track. And so what I do is I take my weight every single day, but then I average it out for the whole entire week. And I use the number at the end of the week. I use that number as sort of like my marker, I guess, for what my real weight is. So that way, if there's any anomalies, it kicks out. Because you know what happens? You stay up late one night. For example, last night I was watching Eagles, Falcons, and I stayed up a little bit late. And, if you don't get enough sleep or if you, maybe drink too much water at the end of the night or eat a little extra at the end of the night, late at night, all that stuff might affect your weight in the morning.
Oh, no, so, it definitely does. Your entire cycle is off. Your body's not digesting the same way. You probably drank more too, even with some more water. It's little things.
Yeah, and it's funny. So if you do actually weigh yourself every day, you'll see the anomalies and you'll know, all right, well, today, is 2 or 3 pounds higher than normal. But maybe you had sushi the night before and it's really salty and you're retaining water at a higher rate than normal. Things like that,
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear you. I went through, I think 2 years ago I did Lake Placid. I was 164.5.
Yeah.
And I got down to 155, like 5 months later, or even hitting 151 for the New York City Marathon. So I know how tough it was to lose the weight. I tracked I did every Friday, just to do once a week.
Yeah, I guess my fear with that is that knowing how my weight can fluctuate 2-3 pounds on any given day, is what if I weigh myself on a day that it's a little bit high for that day, and then you weigh yourself and you've worked really hard the week before and all of a sudden you look and the weight isn't, you're if anything, maybe you're gaining, it looks like. And that could send you into depression and you get all upset.
Yeah.
Or the other way, if it's too low, which happens too.
Yeah. Well, don't get, remember the weight at the end of the day, it's number.
Yep.
But, like, depending on how you're training, if you're doing a lot of weightlifting, you might actually be building muscle.
Yep.
Certainly possible. I took, I definitely would recommend, like, take measurements too. Sometimes if you're not hitting the numbers by weight, you might be getting it by inches.
Yeah, and
which in some people's case matters more.
Yeah, and I'd say one of the ways that I kind of monitor that, well, A, is how my pants fit, but I pretty much wear the same belt every day, so I can kind of count the notches on the belt. You know how many notches?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I started out this cycle on kind of like the first notch, and now I'm between 2 and 3, depending on the morning. So that's it's been a month, so that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty much at least an inch or two off my waistline, which is not insignificant in the first month and a half. So not too unhappy with that. But going back to Lake Placid, I know I'm going to keep taking you back here. Now you start hitting this run, and do you know that you're going to finish? Have you every triathlon, every Ironman that you've done, when you get off the bike, do you know you're going to finish, or are you a little nervous?
Do I know? I mean, the first year the first year I got off, 5:25, and I had a really good feeling I was going to, but it gets, definitely, it's not 100%. Maybe, let me think. There's definitely doubt, especially when you get to the turnaround. Actually, the first year, I still remember, is at the turnaround, the 13.1, which is, so if you're getting off the bike at 5:30, I think I did the first turnaround at 8:30. People are finishing, and
isn't that annoying?
And it's the most hard. No one really prepared me, but the hardest part of that course there is when you're doing that second loop, and the people who are just doing the rest trying to cheer you on, they think you're done.
Right.
And then you got another 13.1 miles to go, and at some point I did question, like, man, like, you don't even know if you're going to be back here.
So
within the cutoff. So yeah, at that point, the first race.
That's like a mental hurdle to overcome. I mean, that's challenging.
Yeah, that definitely. I was doing okay, I think. So I mean, in the first year I did, like, it was a 5:57 marathon leg, and I did the half in like maybe 2:20, but after that halfway point, it was just so demoralizing. It slowed me down, like, mentally, and I think it took me like another like three and change to finish the last 13 by 15 minutes.
So let me ask you this: are you doing math in your head as you run?
Oh yeah, it's constant.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah,
I did the same thing. So the year I finished, I think I was like 15:50, but I remember just constantly doing the math in my head and thinking, how slow can I go? Because I just really wanted to finish, and I thought I was going to be a lot closer to the cutoff. And then when I started realizing, wow, I got a lot of extra time here, I was able to kind of settle down. I remember I did 1 mile in like 20 something minutes, and the update, how they do the clock or the tracking. Yeah. It said I did like a mile in like 24 minutes, and everyone was getting nervous, like something happened to me. But I think I stopped to pee, number one. I walked a little bit more of that mile than normal once I realized I kind of had it. And, but people got a little nervous for me. But, it's amazing how you become a mathematician out there.
Yeah, it's amazing, and shows you how reliant you are on that GPS.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the second year, I knew going in I was going to make it, just because I think I got off the bike like 45 minutes faster. But the last year, I knew that it's tough when I knew how to do 15-minute miles almost the whole way. And right. I think 1 mile I slipped and I went to like 17, and it sent me into a frenzy. Oof. But yeah, you're doing math the whole time. It's stressful.
It's hard to recover. I remember being out there that year, and I remember coming back on my last loop, and someone was just, for some reason, going out, or they were still on their first loop, and I was getting close, and I don't know. I don't know where I was. I must not have been there, because it doesn't make sense. But I remember someone telling a girl, like, she had just started the run or something, and they were like, oh, you have to do like 14-minute miles in order to finish. Oh, you can do it. And I'm going, if someone's out here, it's getting, it's dark, they're not going to be able to do, like, no one out there is doing 14-minute miles.
Yeah, if you're doing 14-minute miles, then you really need, like, that means you start the run around 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Which means you failed the bike, probably, right? I mean,
no, it means you made it in by
long
by
transition.
cutoff by 5:30. All you gotta do is get into the bike by
Yep,
5:30,
that's true.
and like you might take 15 minutes in transition, which I think is what I did the first and maybe second year too, just mentally recover from that devastation of a bike course. And so yeah, you don't start to run till like 5:45, 6. So you got pretty much now. I say 6 hours, but you really don't have 6 hours. You have like 5 hours and 45 minutes, right? Because you have 17 hours. You don't have until midnight.
Yeah, and you got to bake it into your You have. Oh, that's true. You don't have. That's another thing. Like if you start looking at time a little too much, like in terms of time of day versus your actual time, that could throw you off a little there too. I mean, you could, because you don't know. You have no idea when you cross that start line. Right.
Yeah, well, if you hit start on your watch, you did.
Right, exactly. But I'll tell you what, so the first year I did it, I used that like triathlon mode on my Garmin, but I had never used that mode before. And after I got done in the swim, I didn't know what to do, what to push, and I guess it's fairly easy, but I never practiced it.
Yeah,
so I
never hit lap.
Yeah, and I accidentally turned it off. And, and then I'm like on the bike and I'm trying to ride the bike and at least start the bike mode. But I don't have like the dexterity to ride the bike and mess with the watch at the same time. It's like texting and driving, except if you fall off, you really get hurt. Well, I guess if you get into an accident.
I don't know how you did that. If I couldn't,
I didn't.
Like if I don't have my data, I can't. I can't ride the bike.
And even worse was like that. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of was going by feel in terms of speed. I guess the good thing about that was out in Lake Placid. On the bike course, it's so hilly. Like it is, I don't know if you do this, but I find it virtually impossible to kind of gauge where you are, how long it's going to take you to get somewhere, or, how fast you have to go in order to beat a certain cutoff. I just find it almost impossible because I know where the hills are. It's just that my speed changes so drastically depending on the hills, the steepness of the hills, the length of the hills, and where I am on the course. And it's impossible.
Yeah, and if you're like, say you're not super familiar with the course, and you start the race, and like, say you're 25 miles in, and you're like, wow, man, I just did this in an hour and a half. I'm gonna do this bike loop in 5 hours. Then you might not realize you have that 25-mile uphill at the end of that.
Exactly. And once you get down the big hill, there's no more big. Once you get down the big hill in the beginning, there's no more. There's no big downhill left for you. There's little ones, but there's no, you're not.
You gotta, then the ride starts. I always I break it up. You start the loop. You go. I think it's 10 up. You leave 10 up, then it's like 20 down. Then it's 20 down, and then another 26 up, and you do. And then that 26 up is really where the race is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you do it again.
Exactly, you do it again.
And that 26 up, you going. I'm going like, I don't know, if I'm lucky, maybe 10 miles per hour. If I'm lucky.
Yeah. It's just hard to figure out. Well, listen, I just wanted to say, I think it takes guts to be able to go out there and get in that like 1640, 16. That I think this year was like 1650. I don't know, man. I just think it takes guts to go out there and just pound it and go after it and finish in under the cutoff. Cutting it so close.
Yeah, I guess it would take guts if now had I known I was going to finish in 1650, I don't know if I would have done it. I did the first one 1644, great, I finished. It's the first one. Did the second one 1614. Hey, I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I got cut down half an hour. Like I realized some things I needed to tweak, especially on the run. This year I was supposed to. I was thinking I was going to go 15, sub 15. It wasn't the day for it.
Oh, it was a bad day. It was bad. The weather was bad, and is all that good stuff.
Yeah, the weather did. But I mean, I would have sworn I was going to do it in under 16. I would have sworn I would have got a PR like easily compared to last year. So, and at the end, you kind of, I think everybody pretty much realized in the first, with the rain, you're not going to PR that day. You're just going to try to finish.
Yeah, it was a tough day out there, and going down that keen descent, that big hill we were talking about, while it was pretty much pouring, was one of the more traumatic events of my life, I think.
I can't name a time where it was more, emotionally shaken, like in like competing. I mean, that was, I mean, didn't help that, we both did decently good swim time. So now we're crowded around people, and it's pouring rain, and you're going down the bike 30, 35, 40 miles per hour, and it's, you're kind of, I don't know about you, but I was really actually afraid to brake.
I kind of braked in the beginning, and I was using my back brake a lot in the beginning, but then my back brake kind of, I think in general, front brakes are typically, they're more pressure than the back brake. I couldn't slow myself down with the back brake after a certain point on that hill. So I wound up just grabbing onto the front brake, and when I was done, my left arm was like toast. I had to like shake it out for like the next 5 miles to get the feeling back into it.
Yeah, your left arm was shaking, and my whole body was shaking.
Yeah.
It was the scariest I've ever been. It took me almost the first loop to kind of shake it off my head, and I was actually so like traumatized by that. The entire first loop, all those descents, I just took them super slow because I was just still scared.
Yeah.
It was,
it rained for a good 2 hours out there. It didn't stop after the hill. It just and that will slow you down in general. Not to mention you're just heavier because you're waterlogged.
Yeah, and don't forget before the rain started, it was actually really windy, which everyone forgets. But the wind, like going into it, like I've done the loop.
Yeah,
I think that at that point was my 5th loop ever I've done it. And it was like my slowest one by like almost an hour. I think it took me like 4:50, 4:58 to do one loop.
And usually the first loop is your faster one, but I'm wondering actually, did you finish? So your second loop was faster than the first?
Yeah, it was I think it was slightly faster, like 10 minutes. So usually it's like half an hour slower.
Right, mine too.
40,
the 2 times I finished, mine was my second loop was way worse. Hey, listen, let's go to break right now. I want to talk to you a little bit more about training and how you got ready for the race. All right, we'll be right back with Georgios Zavolas. Hey guys, my friend Lauren is creating an incredible resource for runners and triathletes. It's called raceadvisors.com. She has amassed a list of thousands of races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, ultramarathons, and triathlons, and anything in between. If you're thinking about running a race, look it up and check out the reviews. Have a favorite race of your own? Look it up. See what others have to say about it. Or better yet, leave a review of your own. raceadvisors.com. Read it, race it, review it. I may not have a lot of hair, but I tell you, I know style when I see it. And I know you guys and gals with the flowing locks, you need something functional to keep that hair out of your face when you go on your daily run. And I have just the thing for you. It's called Greasy Girl Headbands. And I know what it sounds like, but it's not spelled that way. It's GREECIE, girlheadbands.com. They make headbands that are specially designed for the runner to keep that hair out of your face, out of your eyes when you're out there on your daily run. So check them out. GreasyGirlHeadbands.com, GREECIE, and find a design that's perfect for you. All right, we are back from break with Georgios Zavolas. So you're signed up for Lake Placid again next year, huh?
Yeah, I guess I must really like punishment.
Me too, and I'm the one that DNF'd last year, so I have something to go back for. I have a little atoning to do for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I mean, like I was saying before, I didn't go there for 1650. I really went to get a good marathon time. That was like to actually, the goal for it was the whole goal was to be able to like run the marathon. Give me like a 4.5, 5 hour marathon, not another. So just the 6 hour marathon time alone is my motivation. I really want to say I mastered the distance, and to master the distance, I think to me means like you could give it your all in all 3 disciplines, but especially for me as a runner, my pride is to run, and so that 6 hours doesn't really I don't think it represents me too well. So I'm trying to fix that part.
So, and obviously, I think you and I both have the same issue, which is, and I think our swims are pretty close. Like I think you mentioned that earlier. Our swims are pretty close, and then we get on this bike. And I gotta tell you, and I don't like, I see people out there on the bike and they destroy me. And sometimes I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, I spend a lot of time on the bike in the off season. I'm going to be spending more this year. What is your plan, for the off season to improve your bike?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of improvements in my bike this past year too. I mean, even got a tri-bike, but really this year, like, the whole goal is, it's not about speed, right? Because speed, for the most part, I mean, yeah, you'll get faster. We will all get faster, but what you really want to do, I mean, I cater it to myself. But for me personally, what my goal is, I want to be able to get off the 112-mile bike ride and feel like as good as new. I want to feel like not like maybe a little bit tired. I want to get off the bike, feel great, and I'm ready to run. So my goal is really make sure like the 112 miles with 6,000 feet of elevation doesn't really hurt me too much.
I think I know. I have a good feeling. Like I know that feeling. I know what you're talking about. And the first time I ever did a half marathon was like 4 years ago. I wound up walking the last quarter mile or so, and I could barely walk. I could barely get to my car after. And the first thing I thought was, this race destroyed me. Like, this race owned me. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to own the race. And you know what I mean? I wanted to do it on my terms. I didn't want the race to be able to force me to stop and tell me you got to walk, or you get, or I wanted to be like, I'm racing this race. It's on my terms. And I think I have the same feeling for the Ironman, especially now that I DNF. But, anything to do with it? Is that any of what I just said part of what your thoughts is?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like, that's why you train, right? That's why you wake up every day. That's why you wake up early every weekend and stay out there all weekend. Like, you want to do that race, and you want to leave that race knowing that you did your absolute best, and like you got the best. You did what you needed it to do. Like, you might not get the exact time, but at least if you've mastered, you feel like you got the best of the course. Like, they gave you everything you had, and you kind of came out on top.
Yeah, and you didn't, right. The course didn't own you at the end, and like you said with your marathon, especially at the end. I mean, you're running like sub 4s, and then you're running a 6, and the Ironman, and to a certain degree, you're going to expect, right? You got to expect you're not going to do a 350.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that, but
if you did a 4, you'd probably, or if you did like a 4.5 to 5, I think you'd still be like, that's more.
Oh,
was that?
thrilled.
I mean, do you have expectations?
Yeah, thrilled. Yeah, if I did, I mean, I really wanted under 5, and I was hoping for 4.5.
Yeah. I never tried that sort of Galloway method of running before, where it's like run, walk, run, walk, run, walk. Whenever I do my running races, whether it be a half marathon or full marathon, I always just kind of go out running and hope I can run the whole way through. And then when I did the first Ironman, I knew I wasn't going to be able to run the whole way through. And so I met up with a guy on the course, and he was doing a run walk, and he would run 3 telephone poles and then walk 3 and then run. And it seems like very short intervals, but we were able to keep our energy that way. And I think we were sub 6, which for me at the time, I mean, I had done the New York City Marathon the year before in like 6:10. So, I was out of shape, and I really hurt myself. Well, I didn't hurt myself, but I almost bailed out totally, and I wound up walking, a good portion of the marathon that year. But, I think it's certainly possible, I think, with training to set, I don't know. I feel like it's possible for me, if I train right, to finish it more on my terms, like we were saying, than to have it own me as much as it has.
Yeah, you just want to feel great at the end. The Galloway method, has helped a lot of people. It keeps your energy level up. You don't, if you don't get to that point where you have to stop and you're able to keep going, it's going to be faster than jogging or running it and then having to stop later, and then you're going to walk slower.
Exactly.
It's successful. A lot of people do it.
So it's interesting, when I did Ironman Maryland, I did the Galloway method right from the get-go on the run. I think I ran a half mile, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to maintain this. So I started doing the run walk, and I was at the very end, and I finished in like 15 and a half, in Maryland. And I was at the very end of the run, maybe the last 2 miles. And I remember like running by I was at a run interval, and I ran by these people that were just standing there that were watching the race, and they were just shocked. They were like, look at this guy. Like, it looked like, cause I had a good gait, I had a good stride, as opposed to anyone else who was like still, who had basically at that point, a lot of people have lost it, and they're just struggling either to jog or they're complete walking and barely looking like they're going to finish, So it definitely worked out for me. Although I would love to be able to get to a point where I could finish the Ironman with running the whole marathon. I don't know if that's in the cards for me next year, but,
you never know. I mean, it might not be, I don't really suggest people to try to go out there, try to run it all. what I try to do is walk the aid stations. It's like an extended Galloway method, right? Get to the aid station and walk that. It's like 100 yards, and you walk that, and then you run the next mile that way until the next one, and then the next one, and the next one.
So since you mentioned the aid station, what is your preferred nutrition going through the aid station? Do you bring it on the course yourself?
Yeah, actually, I found out the hard way. This is where the experience helps, right? The first 2 years, man, I think I just ate whatever they had, and the first year I ate whatever they had, and my stomach got upset. I had to spend a lot of time in the bathroom, and didn't go over well. This year, what I did was, I practiced exactly what I wanted, and just water. I had water and I had salt. There was no solids whatsoever.
Yeah,
and it was actually probably my best. In terms of time, it's not my best marathon time, but it was the first time I actually didn't stop at all for the marathon. Like no bathroom breaks, no nothing.
Wow. Yeah,
because nothing bothered me. So yeah, for me,
great.
water.
Yeah, you know what, and man, that's impressive because I feel like I'd have to eat something, but I do find that for some reason, if I'm doing a regular marathon, I will take a lot of nutrition, and I'll use it like every 4 miles. But for some reason, I think it might be just the sheer exhaustion and what my body has already gone through. When I'm on that Ironman marathon course, it's like I don't want to eat anything.
You really got to eat. You really got to eat on the bike.
Yeah. I think that's a theory, pretty much, right? I mean, to make sure you get everything on the bike.
If you don't eat on the bike, eat on the bike. And I made sure to do that. Yeah, and even transition, it's too late. Because your body needs time to let that thing go through you. So like mile 100, I'm already eating the stuff I want for my run at that point. Like I have a bagel in my bag and in my pocket, and I'm eating that. Yeah. So by the time I get to run, I'm good, and it's settled. Last year, or I guess 2 years ago now, I had the bagel and I ate it like the first half of the marathon, and that didn't end well for me. So I realized, in training, ideally, we all practice this in training. I think I did an 80-mile bike ride and like a 16-mile run, and that's how I did it there, and it worked well. By the way, I was able to keep like a 9-minute pace on the run for that part, but nice. not for not when it counts.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, like you said, we had some kind of weird conditions, and I'm sure that played a part in in everyone's finishing time, or in my case, not finishing at all. Though my case, I really have no excuse with the weather. It's really just me.
It didn't help. It didn't help anyone.
Yeah, definitely not. It definitely didn't help anyone. So looking forward to next year, now that we both have the same problem. We both have the same goals next year. So I remember you said you were talking a little bit to me about that you did a lot of hill training last year, and that this year you're trying to think maybe, like more, I guess, longer rides. I mean, is that kind of what you're thinking?
It's going to be both. I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to kind of keep doing what I did, even though it didn't work well for me. I'm going to do more of it. So I'm going to do a lot of hill repeats, and then every other week would be like a long ride. So maybe 100 miles every other week on the flats, and then 70 or 60 or 70 miles in the hills in the other weeks. Now I say this, let's see if I can actually do it.
Right.
We all want to do that.
I know, and you know what? I'm like the biggest. I will say I'm going to do 100 or I'm going to do 80, and then I'll go out and I'll do 40 or 50, and I'll be like, all right, I'm done. And I use the trainer a lot too. I don't necessarily like being on the roads, and I have a trail out here that I love. It's super flat, and it's like I feel like I don't know if it does much for me because it's so, and I know you just said like you do like flat, like long rides on flats, and I think that I don't know, like I just feel like Lake Placid has so many hills. I don't know if I'm doing any good. It's like so weird. Do you wind up and this is a little off of what I was just saying, but do you wind up training a lot indoors, or are you like more of an you seem like an outdoor guy to me?
I actually, to tell you the truth, like riding outside is super scary to me. Cars.
That's my thing too.
Yeah, between all these cars going around, and I try to ride as safe as I could in parks as much as I could, but they get they get really close to you, and this year I forced myself to ride outside more just so I could get the hill training in.
Yeah.
I swore by the trainer. I was big into Trainer Road.
Yep.
Trainer Road, and it just does power-based training. I thought that was really helpful for me during the week. But if you only have flats, I mean, you could raise, go to like you could try to simulate hills, go to higher gears,
yeah,
and like do like 2 minutes like that.
I do have a hilly, like I have a park around me that's small. That's you could do loops and it's really hilly, but you wind up doing like 10 loops in less than an hour. You get 1,000 feet of elevation or so, but
that's good.
Yeah, it's just you just got to get through the mental barrier of doing all these, so many loops in such a small time.
The closest park to my house is 1.9 mile loop. That's the
there you go.
thing.
That's probably similar to what I ride.
Yeah, I do that. It has a little bit of a hill, and I actually since Ironman, I've done. I do have a Atlantic City 70.3 coming up at the end of the month.
Oh, you're doing that one? That's great.
Yeah, doing that one. And so I've been doing 100K, 162 miles every weekend, which is like 100 loops over that course.
So have you slowed down at all ever since? It sounds like you're in a good zone when it comes to traiing. Did you get any of that like Ironman blues that they talk about that I've certainly experienced myself?
Did I? I mean, not really. I mean, the race finished, and it kind of just like I was kind of pissed off about the whole thing and upset about the way the whole thing went in general. So I kind of kept me motivated. I did have a vacation though. I went to Greece for 2 weeks, which I swam every day and I ran almost every day.
Oh, that's
so
good.
that kind of helped
impressive. Me. It's hard to get out and train on vacation.
Yeah, well, still, when you're by yourself, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, you got goals, I guess. If you got goals, you have to work towards them.
And I enjoy it, right? Like, it makes me happy. Like, if I didn't have a marathon or Atlantic City 70.3 coming up, I would still do it because I like it. That's what makes me happy. It's a good way for me to relax.
Speaking of which, so let me ask you this: How did you get involved? Just in endurance racing, in general. I mean, was it something that you've always been doing? Were you like a runner in high school, or?
Oh, no, nothing. I don't think. I played on my church team. That was as much as my athletic prowess as I was when I was younger. Then I guess I don't know how old was I? Probably 24, 25.
Yeah.
And I just kind of in the day-to-day life, in my cubicle, and just wasn't really too happy in life in general. So I was trying to find a way for me to feel better about myself. And so actually, believe it or not, the first thing I signed up for was a Spartan race. It was tough.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that, and I signed up for that.
Did you throw the spear? How did you do with the spear?
Yeah, bullseye.
Nice.
Actually, eventually it was a bullseye. My first throw, I think I threw the spear and it went over it somersaulted right over the target and it bounced off. It was awful. But I did that, and then to train for that, I signed up for CrossFit, which I still do to this day 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
Just love CrossFit. Can't say enough about it. And I did that. And then after a year of that, one of my friends sent me an email for Ironman Princeton 70.3. So I signed up for that, and then from there I was like, then I think I signed up for it. Then I realized really how bad it was.
Yeah.
And it kind of took off from there. Then I did my first New York City half in March of I guess that was 2014.
Yeah. Wow,
the first half.
Yeah.
Did that. Took me 2 hours. Yeah, first half was 2 hours 10 minutes, or was it? Yeah, 2:10:10 actually. 2:10:10 was my first half.
Easy to remember.
Easy. Remember, you always remember your first one, right?
I don't remember my first one. It was like 2:27, I think, but I don't remember the seconds.
Yeah. But did that, and then
I remember the pain.
Yeah, remember that. Well, I had no pain. I actually did the half, and then I got on a plane. I went to I think I went to Rome or Italy. There, and then I kind of really liked it, so I kept doing those New York races, and eventually got me into the marathon.
Oh, right. So you like the 10 and 1, right? The 10 and 1, right?
Yeah, 9+1. So I got into the marathon, and then so I did the half. I did the Princeton, and that was my first triathlon I did and signed up for. Realized how stupid that was. Took the next year to kind of okay, let me do these Olympic distance triathlons, get more of a base. And then the next year is when I did and then the next year I signed up for my first Ironman Lake Placid.
Nice. That's a nice progression. It's kind of, I think we all kind of go through the progression. Just a matter of like, of to what degree of craziness you go at it. So for you, it sounds like the craziness was getting that first 70.3. But then you just, for some reason, for me, some people get that runner's high as they're doing it. But for me, it's always after. It's like after I accomplish it and I sit down, that immediate after, I'm like, why would I do this? And why would I ever do this again? And then fast forward, even like an hour, 2 hours later, it's like, all right, when's the next one? And so it's like, It's like, that's when the high comes for me. Where do you find it?
Yeah, I get the high almost every time I train, really. Maybe not every time, but even like those training runs. I mean, I always tell people like, race day, it's really like a coronation, right? Like you did all the work, like
it's the payoff.
You don't become an Ironman like after you do that distance. Like you became an Ironman at some point when you got up and did the training day in day out. That's where the magic happens, right? And it's race. I mean, race day is amazing, but I get the high like every day, especially like. There's no pressure. You just go, race day is hectic, right? We all have expectations. There's a million things we have to get ready. Meanwhile, you're trying to find family in the crowd, little things, trying to get the right shoes, get everything ready. You're traveling, it's hectic. But, when you're training, it's a lot of times the best runs are there. You go, you relax, you're just enjoying it. You get the sweat going. And, I get happy when I run and when I work out and when I bike and swim. It doesn't go away. Race day, it's not really there until maybe the finish line, per se.
Yeah.
But during training is definitely the best part.
Yeah, that's interesting. And for you, I mean, doing CrossFit 5-6 days a week combined with doing bike rides and all that good stuff, that's some pretty big days. It sounds like for you. You got some pretty big training days there, so you must love it.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I do. I don't know. I guess I'm one of those sickos that just loves being exhausted and pushing and and getting better, right? And getting that reward. I mean,
yeah.
Like, what's more rewarding than being like completely and utterly exhausted and knowing that like, hey, I actually got better at this. Like, you feel proud of it.
So let me ask you this: so when you go to Lake Placid, do you go home the day after the race, or do you hang out for a little while after?
No, I'm home the next day. I can't wait to get out of there.
I was gonna try to put a bet on this one between you and I. I think we need to bet. I was gonna bet you a beer the day after the race, but you're gonna be gone.
I mean, you never know. It depends. I mean, I ideally I want to say that
I think you can destroy me. I put it this way: I know you can destroy me. Looking at your marathon time, and I feel like for you. I feel like you are due an incredible Ironman Lake Placid. You, after 3, and I'm not saying that they were none of them are really disappointing, but coming, 16 plus when you want to be through 16, and you can do, and it's like, that bike is like crushing you, and it's like, it's gotta be like, I don't know, I feel your pain, like I feel your desire.
And this year I did, like, I really feel like I did everything I possibly could. Like, I got this new, I got a new bike for it. Like, it's a beautiful, amazing bike. Like, everything's perfect. And I trained and I took, I'm not a fat guy by any means, but I still took 10 pounds. I found a way to take 10 pounds off.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that, but.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole nother blog. I can tell you about my macro counting.
You should be in our weight loss competition.
Yeah, I'm actually. I thought about it, but I didn't want to make people take it the wrong way. Oh, this guy's 160. He's trying to lose weight. But I've been.
You can play along. You can play along on the side.
I'm playing along virtually.
Good.
You do everything you could, and then it doesn't come together on race day. It's like beyond disappointing. I mean, it's. During the, you get to the finish line, I wasn't disappointed. I was really happy to get to the finish line because, it was definitely a question many times at the race. But, you look back, it's like, man, I really didn't want this, 16:52. This was, it might have, had I gone on, I got like a 14:59 or even a 15 hour or even under 15:30. Like, who knows if I sign up for it next year?
Right.
But I didn't, and And again, this is a hard course. I mean, if I really wanted to get like a really good time, I could do like a flat course that are out there. But
let's say Ironman Maryland is billed as like a really flat course, and it is flat. And the problem was when we got out there, the wind was really bad on the bike, and it was constant. And it seemed like it was always in your face. I know it wasn't. We did have some tailwinds in the second half of the loop, but it was something that what I never dealt with was like the hills, at least in Lake Placid, you know where they are, right? Like like you said,
and you can see them, right?
Yeah, and they're there. But when you're pedaling and you're kicking, and I don't have a watt meter, wattage, a power meter on my bike. I have it on the trainer, but not on the bike. But if you're pushing 200 plus watts, and then you look down, you're going 7 miles an hour, and there's no hill, and
it's the wind.
and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, you need to get a power meter. I got one of those too, just for that reason.
I might.
You can't pace. Yeah. It's totally worth it, and I could recommend one for you that won't break the bank for you. I'm very happy with it. But that's how you get the power meter. Once you get a power meter. Now the power meter actually backfired on me, but I'll just tell you how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to help you pace. So you get your power zone, you get your FTP, and you race based on this specific number, and you make sure you hit that no matter what, up, down, wind, whatever. You always hit this number, and then when you get to the run, you're supposed to be able to run. Now my problem was my power meter was just I was going so slow I couldn't make the run unless I pushed it. So I turned the damn thing off and went to okay, let's go as fast as I can now.
The head method, right? Just push it. Just stop looking at the numbers.
But if you're a decent cyclist, it will save you, and especially on the wind. Like sometimes you get the wind with you, right? So you look down, I'm going 20 miles per hour. All right, that's good. Let's keep it here. Yeah. But meanwhile, like you're only doing like 80% of the watts you're supposed to be doing, so you're actually losing out on some like speed. So it's really useful to keep you on track.
Yeah, I gotta look into that. I mean, luckily for me, like I said, I spent a lot of time on the trainer. Do you know Lionel Sanders? You ever hear of Lionel Sanders? He was like third in Kona, I think, this year. Anyway, he's got a YouTube channel out, and I was watching some of his videos the other day, and he said that he does almost all his workouts on the trainer because he rode his bicycle outside for 4 years and he got hit by a car 4 times. So
okay, yeah, he should not be.
Exactly. So all right, I'll go with the indoor trainer for now.
Yeah, and not for nothing too. If you're on the bike outside, right, and you're constantly like looking over your shoulder, looking behind you, looking in front of you, like scared of people hitting you,
it takes away.
You're not pushing yourself, right? Yeah. Like when you're on that trainer, you're zoned in. I mean, I'm zoned in. Like I'm hitting my power levels, doing as much right on the money. I'm really focused. I don't focus that way when I'm outside because I'm looking out for potholes. I'm looking out for obstacles. I'm trying to make myself safe.
But you're not worried about cars, and you're not. Right? I mean, to a certain degree, that they do warn you that there could be cars on the course.
Yeah, they do warn you, but for the most, during race day they're not there, right? Like I mean, they could be, but they're, I've honestly I've never checked. Maybe I should start looking.
Well, Lake Placid, you've done it 3 times. I've done it gone 1.5 times. I guess
see cars on the uphills. I see cars, not on the downs. I think on the climbs.
They do have they'll open traffic the other way, but typically you have one lane the entire time. Rarely do you have to worry about cars passing you. I don't think I've ever really felt in danger of a car, but they don't block off every single side street either. So. It could be. There could be.
I mean, it could happen. They block off the side street, but someone wants to go get coffee. They forget that it's a race.
It's race day, right? Then,
but you still gotta pay attention. But absolutely. For training, I don't know. I try to choose like parks, or I go out really early in the morning. It's not uncommon for me to leave my house at like 4:30 a.m. on the bike, so I'm out there and trying to avoid as much traffic as I could.
Yeah, another one of those 4:30 people, man. We had Katie Mayo on last week. She's like an early morning runner. I don't know how you guys do it. I actually went through a period of time where I could do it, and something happened. It just something in my brain snapped, and now it's like I just have such trouble getting up in the morning.
You gotta do what works for you.
I give it to you guys. Anyway, let's cut it here. Georgia, thanks so much for stopping by, coming on the show. I know it's, you had to kind of carve an hour out of your schedule, but, I'm happy to have you. It was really good having you on. I feel like we're really we got similar goals, and we're in the same boat here with just this bike being our I don't know, our point of contention, I guess, with this Ironman race.
Yeah, I'm on target there, right? And yeah, maybe I will take you on the bet. Maybe we get breakfast or something the next day. But I'm looking forward to seeing you in Placid. Maybe we could get at that bar down the street from the finish line. It's called they have a beer on tap, 140.4. It's 0.1 miles. Sorry, 140.7. It's 0.1 miles from the finish line. That's the name of the tap.
Hey, let's do it then. I would do that after the race for sure. I think that's a great idea. But yeah, I'm sure I'll see you online Friday morning.
Yeah.
For registration. And again, thanks so much for coming on the show.
All right, thanks, Scott. Take care.
All right, we'll be back again next week. I skipped last week. I don't know why. I just I think training has just been really busy. So I skipped last week, but I have like a list of guests coming on. We have I'm scheduling Triathlon Taryn. It's a guy I can't pronounce his last name. Taryn, I think it's Gessel. And anyway, he has a YouTube channel. It's really cool. It's just a lot of triathlon info. I'm going to be recording with him earlier in the week, and then Ben Hinton, who was on the show a few months ago. Anyway, he's been training for this marathon. The marathon is this weekend. We're all going to be cheering him on, and I'm going to have him on the show after he's done with his marathon. Hopefully, he reaches his goals this weekend. And so we got a lot of things going on. I think I have 2 or 3 guests after that. So maybe I'll be able to push out 2 or 3 in the next couple days and try to make up for that 1 week that I missed. Anyway, thanks for listening, and always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.